What's good? I'm Kinell, and this is Sinister Cinema, where we get deep into the guts of the stranger side of cinema. Just letting you know with this little bit at the start that we now have a Patreon. Sub up to that and you can get all these episodes early and ad-free, so you won't even see this bit at the start. You get them a few days before the main episodes drop out. We've got some great guests coming up. We've got some studio episodes. We've got some Zoom episodes with some fantastic rappers talking about the films they love and the films that influenced them. We got a lot going on there. Plus, you get some bonus content like film reviews, all that kind of thing. I don't need to explain this to you. You know what a Patreon is. But yeah, it's patreon.com/Kinell Sinister Cinema. So check that out. Peace. Yes, people. What's good? I'm Kinell, and this is Sinister Cinema, where we get deep into the guts of the stranger side of cinema. Kinell Sinister Cinema is brought to you by Forgotten Sons Apparel. Check them out at forgottensonsapparel.co.uk. Forgotten Sons Apparel is a York-based streetwear brand drawing inspiration from alternative culture, tattoos, film, classic TV and cartoons from our childhood. In our own words, if you like our stuff half as much as we do, then we like it twice as much as you. I'm a big fan of this brand and I love the guys who make it. They've supported me for years, way before I was podcasting. They supported me in my battle rap career. You might have seen me rocking some of their garms on Don't Flop and other leagues. I love Forgotten Sons Apparel and I'm urging you all to check them out at forgottensonsapparel.co.uk. Right, now on with the show. What's good? Once again, it is the KSC podcast and we are continuing our series on introducing you to the tastes of various battle rappers. We're letting you know what kind of movies they're into and all this kind of stuff, movies, TV, all of that, because we always hear about rappers talking about music, but you never really hear about their influences from elsewhere. And we're all into really cool shit, so it's cool to have a bit of a dive into it. It's something that I enjoy doing. I've been enjoying getting hold of my mates for things like this. And first international guest... Oh, no, wait, we did have Kelly Betts. Now, first international guest on this series... There we go, that's accurate. None other than King of the Dot champion, the working man's MC, Real Deal. I absolutely love this guy. He's an absolute legend. I've been on a card with him so many times, and in weird places too, man. Basements in Minneapolis, the heart of Catholic Island, all over the shop. I've been on loads of cards with him, and it's always a great time because he's an absolute geezer. And yeah, he's flipping great for... there's probably very few people that are better in battle rap to have a beer with. Ace dude. Got a lot of love for him. I think he's the longest reigning King of the Dot champion at this point, which is up against some stiff competition because that's probably the highest long running title in battle rap. So, but yeah, even so, he still finds time to do things like this, and he always shows love to the smaller leagues. This is a man who stays on tour. He is carrying the culture on his back on times. There's certainly been times when he's been one of the few people out there really representing. And so it's an absolute pleasure to get him on the KSC. And yeah, here's the episode. Safe. Yes, here we are. The king himself. Real Deal, Trevor Weller. What are we saying? How are you?
My guy, how we feeling, brother? How we feeling?
All good over here. All good over here, man. Flipping. How about your good self, man? And what we saying?
Oh, man. I'm a teacher, so we got the summers off, man. Just trying to, you know what I mean?
Yes. So you broken up over there? You free for the summer now?
Yeah. So we teach we were in there till June 22nd, and we'll be back August 22nd. So
so you're fully free in that now then, man.
Yeah, man, but we needed it, man. Trust me. I know people will be like, oh, teachers, they get the summers off, but we need that shit, man. I don't know. Do you guys do something similar or no?
We do, man. We do. And it is needed, man. Flipping teaching, it's a hard profession, and you're dealing with kids, innit?
Man, you ain't just dealing with that. And not in the COVID-19 times, man. You're dealing with a lot.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Yo, anyway, Flipping, welcome to the KSC, man. Flipping, you're someone I'm really excited to have gotten on here. Like, one, because you're a legend, I love you in that respect. But for another thing, like, I mean, this is a movie podcast. And I don't think I've ever really seen a podcast where I've got to see you, like, really talk about movies, man.
Oh, I love movies, my God.
I mean, this is it, because there's a big thing in battle rap that, like, you know, people talk about people who are like reference heavy. And there's a lot of people that do that, and most of the time it's like people are reference heavy for like stuff that's been released in the last month or so.
Right.
But Flipping, you've always got like the cool shit that like touches me right in the childhood.
My God.
This is it. You've always got them references. It's always Remember the Titans or like Stand By Me and this kind of stuff. And like Flipping, that is something that's like always really sets, like before we even knew each other, that was something that like really set you apart for me. Is that I'd be watching a real deal battle and you'd reference something that would just make me just go, yes.
I told you the same thing outside of iBattle in New York when you were running your rounds. I said, damn, you guys know all them. Because the tricky part is your reference game with movies is crazy. When we cross over, when I go over to the UK or when I come over here, you never know which movies had as much success or whatever. You know what I mean? So, like, I think a prime example is, you know, when I battled Definition and he had a bar about the boy in the striped pajamas. Now, it's still a big movie, but like over here, it's I guess big, but it's not nearly as big as I think it was over there, which is a tremendous movie. I watched it later on. Same thing when I battled in Scotland. I think they think Train Spotting is a bigger world film than it is. In the States, it's a cult classic. Like it's not like it's not like Friday or something over here. Like Train Spotting, I'd say, you know, people my age, a quarter of them might have seen it. It's very cult classic-ish, you know what I mean? Because it's very hard content. So
yeah, but you've got them on to like I think like 2022's been like for the kind of shit that like me and you like. It's been a good year, isn't it? We've got new Jackass, new Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah.
Flipping like all the cool shit from like that I grew up on seems to be coming back around, man. Like, how do you feel?
Sounds
about
like
that?
the full circle that everyone talks about, right?
Yeah. I mean, it really feels like things are like hitting again. Like, I mean, we got new Beavis and Butthead recently. Like,
that's big. I loved Beavis and Butthead, and it's so. I mean, they would probably get canceled smooth out of here in 2022, but I'm anxious to see what the movie's gonna look like, man.
Yeah, Flip it. Have you not seen the movie yet?
No, I remember the one from not Do America, the one from '97. I thought that shit was funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like the new movie is like very much like it sort of places those characters from the 90s. It places them in 2022.
Oh.
And so it's about a lot of the things that are going on in 2022, but looked at through the lens of what those characters would be.
Okay.
You know, is it like the flipping scene about like white privilege in that is flipping awesome. Like it's like they end up like it's the same characters transplanted from 1998, like, you know, time warp, whatever, and they're in 2022, and they end up in a university, and like they're having like a white privilege explained to them, and they're
don't spoil it for me though, legend. I'm gonna check it. You know, I fuck with Beavis and Butthead or.
But so like that, like what they've done with the new one, like I don't feel people are talking enough about how well they've done that. Like,
when did this come out?
I think it only came out a couple of weeks ago. Like, we're recording this on the 15th of July, my time. And like I think it was only like literally like a couple of weeks ago, like, because it was on Paramount Plus or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, man. So one thing I wanted to hit you with is like you've always got these like cool references to things like Stand By Me and stuff like this, like I really like these really iconic films, like, and so I was kind of wondering, like, when you're prepping your bars, like, but like, where does it come from? Like, does it? Where does it come from when you find the inspiration for these great bars? Is it like, is it? Are you just watching the film and think, oh yeah, I can slide this in, or does it work backwards from that? You're with the opponent, and
Yeah, I think it's more backwards. I mean, there have been times when I was watching a battle, or excuse me, a movie. I was like, oh man, that would actually be super fire. But a lot of times, if I have a battle rapper's name or their first name or something, and I'll say, oh, I remember that person from this movie. Okay, well, how can I make that work? You know what I'm saying? So usually it works backwards. What I try to do as well, if there's a movie that's had a lot of mentions, I try to bypass the most obvious. You know what I'm saying? So Stand By Me, for example, I don't think it's been mentioned a lot of times, but it has. And when it has, it's usually been going to see a body. So I was like, okay, if I'm going to do Stand By Me, I can't use going to see a body. Like, you know what I mean? I'm going to be a third person to say that shit. So
that's it, like, man. Flipping, like, it's like such a good era, man. Like, flipping, like, it's something I always respond to when it's something I grew up with, rather than something that's in the ether now. Something that's currently present, like. So, like one thing I really like that you do is that you haven't done it for a bit. Like, it's like after a battle, like you do your little like photo grids.
Oh yeah. So I was doing the photo grids for a while, and then I just started doing like the reels and stuff on IG and whatnot. And I'm just like, man, if I got to pick one or the other, I'd rather just cut the reel and have them watch it. And maybe headline was something like, "Did you catch these movie?" Whatever. Because the photo grids would be work, man. I'd be like finding each of they just looked so funny though when they were put together. But I think what I'm gonna start doing though is combining a little bit of both. Like as I get better on the reels, putting the photos in. You know what I mean? Like it's obnoxious, but I love doing it.
I love that you do it, man. It's great, man. Like, I do kind of wonder what it'd be like to be like, like a young fan, like getting into battle rap now and just getting into Real Deal, and then discovering those movies through the bars. Because I suppose that must happen. Like, it doesn't happen so much for me, but I know I've done it. Like, I know I've seen a reference that people popped off with and then looked back and then found what they were referencing.
For sure. Like but a lot of the movies that I reference, like it's that thing about going too obscure, right? Like sometimes there's a movie you probably gotta let go, you know what I'm saying? Or you have to know your crowd as well, right? So that's part of it too, as I was saying, I'm touching on like internationally. So if there was a film, for example, over here that was a bit of a cult classic, but I think it might have been big over where you guys are at, I'm more likely to reference it. So that definitely plays a role in it. But I'm going to tell you what, I wonder sometimes, like, how many, I think it's the confidence in you when you say these movie bars too, right? So if I reference Saving Private Ryan, that's a great movie. If you didn't get it, that's on you. You need to go watch that shit, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if I reference like the second version of the whole 9 yards, like whole 10 yards. It's like you don't really got to get that. Like I'm kind of getting obscure. You know what I mean? So if I'm gonna deliver like a Saving Private, I'm gonna be ignorant with it. Yeah. And if people are like, "Huh," I'm like, "Shh, catch up." You know what I mean? Like, you gotta watch that shit. Like,
yeah, man. Flipping so I've been speaking to different people like Tony D and Frankie and Shuffle and all this. Like in this series, like I was gonna say, like, is there any kind of have there ever been any moments though, like when you're just watching a film in your private time and it kind of influences how you're going to take the narrative in something? Like, like not so much like a reference. Have you ever like watched something that happens in the way a film's telling a story and things? Hang on, I can adapt that to rap.
Yeah, so I had for sure. I had a bar. I can't remember the exacts of it, but have you ever seen the movie Life?
I have, yeah, man.
With Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence. So I kind of had a spin on. I remember I was watching it. And it's the scene where they're older, and he needs to go get the pie. He like runs to go get the pie, and then they hadn't talked in a while, and he's like, you know, it's Claude and Ray or whatever, and he's like, yo. So basically, I was trying to flip the narrative, like, oh, I drink a lot, and was saying, I'm trying to get my piece of the pie. And sometimes, you know, I forget, like sometimes I use the bottles to hold me up, but that's life. You know what I mean? So it all tied in. Bless you. It all tied in. Obviously, I hope I said it better than I just spelled it out. But when I was watching it, I was like, damn, saying like, yo, you know, I lean on the bottle, or I use the bottle to hold me up. I'm like, that's kind of a cool narrative, and that's a perfect visual for a movie that everybody gets. And the pie in the window. So that I guess would be one of those, probably more so one of those examples.
That's it. Like, I mean, like, the reason I've been doing this series, I'll try and break down like, in my opinion, like in any sort of medium, like battle rappers are the most. Battle rappers are the most. Like, no other form of writing has to be competitive. No other writing has to top any other form of writing. But in battle rap, it does. And it has to be, like, completely unique, where, like, it's the only art form where like, innovation is something that we have to, like, force. So, I know. Do you want to hit me with, like, some films that, like, sort of... have like inspired you as a person?
So inspirational films. Let me think. And the beautiful thing is too, since I'm a father, my son is 16 now.
Yeah.
He's big into movies. So like yesterday, he showed me, I never saw the Spotless. What's the Jim Carrey one? The Eternal
Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
He's like, Dad, you got to watch this. He's like, oh, it's $3.99. I was like, all right. And I watched it and it was good. But if I'm going to go with something to draw inspiration from, right? So usually I guess those are like your movies where someone's down and, you know, comes back, I guess. The predictable ones don't jump out. Forrest Gump, shit like that, because it's so embellished, right? That's a good one. Inspiring. Rocky is always good, man. Rocky's so good. The original Rocky is really good. Some of the other ones aren't as good, but the original Rocky is incredible. Dude, I'm going to say it. As a grown man, Pixar has got some inspirational ass stories, man. Like Coco.
Oh, yeah, man.
Bruh. Coco's incredible. I think I like to see stories where people overcome a lot. You know what I'm saying? Good Will Hunting.
Yeah.
Pretty inspirational, right? Robin Williams on that, dude. When he sits him down on the bench and basically tells him he don't know shit about shit. I think those are the inspirational ones, right? I draw different inspiration. You know what I mean? That humbleness.
Yeah.
When Robert Williams humbles him, it's like,
Yeah.
damn. Sometimes, you know what I mean? I wish I had a Robert Williams to sit me down. Like, bro, you don't know shit about shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. That's like such an incredible part of the movie. Like, and I think that's one thing that's really great about movies is that you can have those moments with them. It's like sometimes movies have taught me something that someone should have told me in real life. Like,
yeah.
And you can relate to that. Like, but also like what you just said then, like about how like your son is showing you movies now. That's incredible. Like,
when he was little, you know,
yeah.
we watched all the Disney classics, right? We ran through the Aladdins and the Lion Kings and da-da-da. And as he got older, and you know, we had my son, his favorite holiday is Halloween.
Yeah.
So we do the whole month of October. We do, you know, horror movie month, right? And we watch a different scary movie and blah blah blah. And then, you know, as time passed, I start, hey, you know, because the longer movies was tough for him at first, right? Like him to get to sit through 3 hours or something.
Yeah.
So he still doesn't love war movies. He's still not big on war movies. And I'm like, man, you gotta get down with some war films.
Yeah.
But it's cool now, that he turns around. Like he showed me that. He was all about it. It's funny, like seeing, you know, his favorite movies versus my favorite, or we'll go see a movie together. That's how we always go see movies. And immediately we turn to each other afterwards, like 1 to 10, or like, what did you think? Or how does this stack up? Like we went and saw the new Elvis movie and we're like, how does this stack up to like Walk the Line and Ray and stuff like that? So
I haven't seen the new Elvis movie yet. Like, it's like, my thing is with like movies that are like musical biopics is like, most of them like completely got smoked by Walk Hard.
Oh my God, that was so good, bro.
It's such an incredible piece of work. Like that movie smoked movies that hadn't even been made at the time it was made. Like
so I argue this a lot. Is it in my top? It's definitely in my top 10 funniest movies.
Yeah.
And usually it's hard for me to put a spoof movie up there because if you're spoofing, it's like giving Weird Al Yankovic a song of the year when he took someone else's song and played off it, right? But the spoof took 2 movies that are good. Ray and Walk the Line were very good.
Yeah.
And they just found all the right ways to mock it. Like, and you find a new part of it every time. And I you know, that's an incredible piece of work. And I agree. If Elvis was out at the same time, he would have threw that in there, and that would have been my problem with biopics is if you go Google immediately after and you find out that they added something in there, like you don't even need to do that. Why did you need to add this part? Like it's not. It was good, but you don't need to constantly. So
it's like stuff like Straight Outta Compton. Like, I mean, I love the film as an entertaining film to watch, but you've toned it down on Suge Knight quite heavily there, haven't you? Like,
and then just always adding a very Hollywood movie. Like like when they're in the booth or something, and he's like, I forget, and they come up with a song, and they always got to make it more iconic than it probably really happened. You know what I'm saying? They always got to make it like this fucking time stand still when somebody said X, Y, Z. So I thought Straight Outta Compton was cool. Again, if I'm looking movie biopics, Ray is the standard. You know what I'm saying to me. But Straight Outta Compton was cool. You know, genre-wise, like I said, it's got to be the thinking movie or the inspirational nowadays. Because I don't know if comedy in 2022 can come back to where it was. I thought 2000 to what? 3 to 12 had a great, just non-stop slew of classics. And now with the way that the world is, I don't know if they can return to that.
this is it. Like, I think at some point we're going to see something incredible. Like, I mean, it's like, what I can't remember what was that film about climate change with Leonardo DiCaprio. What I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah. It was a Netflix joint, right? It was where there was like an asteroid or some shit hitting or something, right? Correct?
Yeah. But I mean, like, that's the guy who did like Step Brothers and those kind of things.
Oh yeah.
And you're just thinking, oh, I want that, man. I want that. That is what we need from comedy. We need something that hits like that. Like, but like now we've kind of like hit this point where everything's got to carry a message. Like,
Yeah.
and I don't think everything does, man. Like,
no, man, no. And I've never been a huge physical comedy fan aside from Jackass because it was real. Like they were really fucking. And I thought the new Jackass was solid. I did. I thought it was pretty good. So I don't like physical comedy's pretty harmless, but I don't care to watch it. Somebody slip on a fucking banana peel. I don't care about none of that, right? So that's why I got a cold take for you that you might not love, dude.
Hit me with it. Hit me with it. I want to hear it, man.
And R.I.P. to my mom because she felt the same way. Me and her, I remember we talked about this. I never found Chris Farley that funny.
Yeah.
Thought he was very physically comedic and over exaggerated.
Yeah.
And the fact that he was 300 something pounds doing that made it funnier. He was definitely part of a couple classic skits. Tommy Boy is funny.
Yeah, it is.
But other than that, I feel like he's held up in this remarkably iconic. I think Phil Hartman might have been just as funny as Chris Farley. And you don't hear many people say that.
That's valid. Both of them went out in a tragic way, like, but very different tragic ways.
Yeah.
I mean, this is it. Like, I mean, like sometimes people are slightly more revered in death. Like, I mean, like, I'm not sure like people would have put like any Chris Farley movie in their top 10 if there was a potential of another Chris Farley movie, like.
Because if Beverly Hills Ninja was not good.
Yeah.
And the Black Sheep, the follow-up to Tommy Boy was solid.
Yeah.
But like, now his career obviously cut short.
Yeah.
So, you don't want to do that. But I don't know, man. I think he gets held up in this regard of how hysterical he was. Now, again, he was part of two iconic skits. Saturday Night Live, he was a good character, but I don't know, man. In the same token, I think Adam Sandler is very underappreciated.
This is it, yeah, man. Flipping like
there's a common narrative that, he's only made a couple funny movies and he hasn't made none funny in years. It's just maybe his newer funny movies have not been as. I thought Click was a solid little funny movie.
Yeah.
I thought 50 First Dates is solid.
Yeah. I really, really like the fact that flipping like once in a while he'll like because I mean basically Adam Sandler's whole thing is like, he does what he does. He came up on doing like comedy records and like flipping Saturday Night Live and all that kind of thing. And these days he's just like, okay, Netflix, give me the budget and I'm going to make a film. And then he just phones his mates immediately and goes like, right, where do you want to go on holiday? We're going to make a film there. Like,
right.
And I think that's flipping brilliant. And then occasionally he'll come back and make an Uncut Gems and go, oh yeah, by the way, I can act and I'm really good at it.
And the new one he did is really good. The basketball one. Did you see it?
I haven't seen it yet. No.
Oh, it's good. It's good. I mean, I don't know. I just think once people get a hold of a narrative, they like to, you know what I mean? They like to run with it. I think Adam Sandler's been in some bad movies for sure.
Yeah.
But
I don't think he even cares about the fact he's in some bad movies.
Nah.
He's like I'm going to put out my bangers. That's no worries, man. Like,
listen, man.
Yeah.
It happens to the best of us. But, yeah, man, I got a question for you.
Good.
What's the first movie you ever saw in theaters?
First movie I ever saw in theaters. It was Gremlins 2.
Oh, is that with Spike?
Yeah, Gremlins 2 was the one where it was in the big building, and I still maintain it's one of the greatest sequels of any movie ever.
Now, were they not saying Gremlins was a Christmas movie? Was that the kind of thing they were running with?
The original Gremlins, it is set at Christmas, and it is a Christmas movie, but Gremlins 2 is like almost a parody of the original film. Like the things they were doing with that, it's like that kicked off a lot of the whole thing about like meta comedy and all this kind of thing. Right. Like they were taking the piss out of the original film. Like some of the things they were saying, there's a bit in that where your man Billy is like trying to explain what the rules of the Gremlins are to people. And they're going, well, fucking so what happens if a Gremlin's on a plane and it goes over a time zone and then it eats after midnight and all this kind of thing. Right. And it's like that was just incredible to me. Like the idea that flipping you can take the piss out of your own movie. I didn't think you were allowed to do that. And to this day, people aren't have you seen Gremlins 2 recently?
Oh no, I haven't seen Gremlins 1 recently. I definitely saw them back in the day. I think I probably even had a little Gizmo doll.
Yes.
And I remember Spike.
Mm.
And but I don't. It's been. Am I correct in saying the main actor from that dark-haired dude is also he's in Weekend at Bernie's? No.
Yeah, he is. He was in and Waxwork and that. And
okay, he had a nice little run in the 80s.
Yeah, flipping he's one of those who I think he got tied to that one specific thing, and it was too specific a thing for him to kind of build a real long-lasting career off it. But he was incredible in it, man. Seriously, I strongly recommend you go and have a watch
and revisit it.
Yeah, man. Gremlins 2, though, Gremlins...
Is that 80s?
Yeah. Actually, it might be 91 or something.
I was about to say, or is that early 90s?
Yeah.
Because 80s, my rule about the 80s is this, and Madness would kill me because I know he loves the 80s.
Yeah.
I think the 80s are the worst decade of movies. And here's why.
Oh, now there's a hot take.
Here's why. They have banger movies, of course, but I feel like the percentage in the 80s, every 10 films that are put out, versus the 70s, 90s, 2000s, is much lower. You know what I'm saying? So for every, in my opinion, this is an example. So for every Breakfast Club, which is incredible, there's Weird Science, which sucks. You know what I mean? For
I don't know about that.
For every Raging Bull, which is incredible. You know what I'm saying? You got another just terrible 80s movie in there. I just think that the 80s were at the, I don't know. I think that's the worst decade.
Wow. That's a wild take, but I respect it, man. I respect it. Were you ever one for renting movies growing up? Did you ever go to the video shop and all that kind of thing?
My dad, we had a video. We did Blockbuster occasionally, whatever. Blockbuster was for us. It was too far away. We didn't have a car.
Yeah.
So there was a video store at the top of the street called Vince's Variety.
Yeah.
And they always had the shittiest movies though. There was Gremlins. They would have, you ever see Critters with a little thing that pops out the toilet? They'd have those kind of shits, right? But
Critters, Ghoulies.
And Ghoulies, right. That's what it was. Not Critters, Ghoulies. They would have the lower budget ones.
Yeah.
Like that and shit. So my dad, he'd try to go up and he just always failed at shit like that. I remember, I'll never forget, dude, he brought a movie back called, and I have to watch it before I die. Again, it was called Slasher in the House.
Oh, yeah.
And it just was the word, like immediately this guy's like driving around in some white car and runs over this old lady and she explodes in blood. Like it had no rhyme or reason. And I'm watching this, because I'm probably 6. I'm the youngest. So, my brother's 8 and my sister's 9 and my other brother's 10. And I remember my mom just looking over at him just like how can you consistently fuck up getting a movie? Like what what is this? Like, like I've told a story. The first movie I ever saw in the movies was Ghost. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So basically, great movie.
Yeah.
But my mom, she was house mom, raised the 4 of us. So I think she was just basically like Charlie, which was my dad's name, like get these kids out of the house. I cannot see another kid for another minute. So my dad, he's like, all right. So my dad, he had me at 37. So he was never like he was just out of touch with stuff. So the movie that was playing was Ghost. My dad thought it was about like, ooh.
Yeah. So, I thought it was an actual horror movie.
He just thought it was like about some Casper kind of ghost. Because he took, again, I'm 5, my brother's 7, sister's 8, my other brother's 10.
And
so I just remember leaving the
Patrick
movie.
Swayze and Demi Moore doing supernatural pottery.
And we're sobbing, bro. And there's a line of us holding hands like an elephant walk. We're holding my dad's hands. It's like traumatized. Like that this dude really dies in this movie. This is so sad. And my dad's just kind of like, well, that was interesting. Like, you know what I mean? Like refuses to acknowledge, like, bro, you missed. Like, and to this day, it's one of my favorite movies ever. But you know what I'm saying? At 5 years old, I probably was like, this is overwhelming. Like, and like you said, in the pottery scene, I'm like, what?
Oh yeah, that's incredible. Like, flipping like this is it. Like, there seems to have been like this kind of like retroactive. I can't even remember what the word is. Like, people like seem to like put Blockbuster on a pedestal because like it's something that like people remember, and that was the icon.
The nostalgia of it, right?
Yeah, but really, it wasn't about Blockbuster. It was about the mom and pop video stores that had the shit that Blockbuster didn't have.
This one was rough, man. Yeah, I remember, like I said, and I mean, it was, and it discontinued pretty shortly after, and then we had a family video. It was called, there was like a generic Blockbuster called Family Video. Blockbuster to us looked like so cool, like so we had the Family Video, which was like the poor version's Blockbuster, but I don't think we ever had like a Blockbuster membership or anything like that, but any movie you ever walked out on in the movie theater, you were like, this is terrible?
Walked out on? I don't think I ever have done, but I fucking have fallen asleep in the movie theater. Like, I flipping like I think I fell asleep during Jarhead. Do you know?
Never thought that was that good, bro. No.
I don't know, like I haven't got any control over whether I fall asleep or not, like flipping. I'm ADHD, man, like flipping. If my attention switches off, it switches off. Like, but I always thought that movie was like, because you mentioned war movies earlier. Like, I'd say like my favorite war movie of all time is Full Metal Jacket. And flipping like Jarhead felt like it was like Full Metal Jacket, but not quite as good. Like,
my criticism for Full Metal Jacket is incredible as it is.
Yeah.
The first half is so much better than the second half.
Do you know what
I mean?
Literally, I had this exact conversation with Kruger yesterday, like, because like the second half like is a solid war movie.
Right.
But the first half is like nothing else.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And they said he improvised so many of those lines and just it's almost like you could have ended it at the bathroom scene with Gomer Pyle, and that could have been a whole nother movie. I don't know. If I'm going favorite war movie, it's hard to beat Braveheart. Is really good. Now I know from what I've heard, there's so much that's not true and blah blah blah. I mean, who cares?
But I don't need that in a movie. I don't need
I
it
agree.
to be accurate.
I agree.
Like,
And the only time I say otherwise is unless it's a direct biopic, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to.
Yeah.
This one was loosely. Braveheart, Saving Private Ryan is really, really good.
Yeah.
That 1917 joint was really good, bro.
Yeah. This is it, man. Like,
Platoon.
Platoon is a personal flipping favorite. Like that was one. Like I think it was one of the first things that I had on tape. And when I went to university, like it was like it was like the whole thing of like having your own video player in your room. Like Platoon was just one of those that covers like so iconic. Like,
yeah.
The thing is about like the advantage the Vietnam movies have over all the other horror movies is Vietnam had the soundtrack.
Oh man, yeah. That's what I mean. That Forrest Gump soundtrack. Just, I mean, I know it's not a Vietnam movie per se, but just doesn't miss, man.
Yeah, I mean, like flipping like Platoon. They had the Smokey Robinson, Tears of a Clown, all that kind of thing. Like, you know, they're so iconic. I saw a tweet on Twitter last year where it said, "Imagine being the first guy in Vietnam to play flipping Creedence Clearwater Revival, Fortunate Son, like imagine being the first person to play that in Vietnam and everyone just being like, yes, this is the vibe." Like,
right. And that's my favorite band of all time. But yeah.
Oh man, I love Creedence so much, man.
And they're still really good live. I've seen them twice in the last like 5 years. Yeah, bro.
Yeah,
they're not. I mean, it's John Fogerty and his band. They disbanded years and years and years ago. But yeah, incredible.
Yeah, man. So it's it's one of those like I'm only ever so many beers away from whacking on the greatest hits of Creedence, like, and like all the songs are great on their own, but they're all kind of tied into things like Looking Out My Back Door. Like I always tie that to like the Big Lebowski.
Oh, great movie.
Yeah.
We just went and I just came back from Nashville, and my buddy karaoke'd. We karaoke'd every day down there. And my buddy karaoke'd Have You Ever Seen the Rain every single day we were down there. And it was like, didn't matter the crowd, like young crowd, old crowd. You would just hear them call his name. They're like, all right, we got to have him. And he'd come up and it'd be like, boom, 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 boom. Someone told me long ago. We're like, yo. He didn't give a, hey, listen. It hit every time.
Yeah, man. Absolute banger, man.
So let me ask you this question.
Yeah, man.
Do you find it as difficult as I do nowadays to find out who is a British-born actor or European versus who is an American-born actor? And do you ever see one of them cross over and attempt to, and think this doesn't sound, you know what I mean? Like I did, like I think Tom Hardy, for example, not Tom Hardy, Tom Holland, does an incredible American person. Like I think he sounds 100%. You know what I mean? I didn't know he was British at first until Christian Bale, I didn't know was Welsh.
Yeah, man. Like I think there must have been like at some point when voice accent coaches must have just fucking nailed it, because like flipping you can't differentiate these things anymore. It always used to be like flipping like it always used to be obvious if someone was doing an accent from another place. It always used to be obvious, and then there was some point when you couldn't pick it up anymore. So like there must just be like a point when like accent coaches just really nailed their shit. Like Andrew Lincoln's like an example, like that I always think of, like your man, he was like Rick out The Walking Dead. It's just absolutely wild for me to think of him as an American, because like he was like big on like British TV. There was a show called This Life. And like to me, he's a guy called Egg who's just finished university, and he's living with his girlfriend in a shared student flat, and he's in London, and like it was just absolutely wild that first episode of The Walking Dead where I saw him speak with an American accent, but like worldwide, like no one flipping like thinks of him as anything other than Rick now.
So correct me if I'm wrong too. The blonde-haired dude from Sons of Anarchy, he's like British, right?
Yeah. Flipping like,
and he's like playing like, and it's, I feel like this is only changed the last 20 years, 15 years, right?
It must be something to do with accent coaching, like I mean that guy, like he came up as like what should we call it, this like super squeaky clean guy. He was originally in like the original British version of Queer as Folk, and he was in that, and he used to be in like a kids, like there was kind of like a kids soap opera called like Biker Grove, which was like set in Newcastle, like where Definition comes from.
And I just wonder, like, what maybe was it British people, you think, saying we need more roles? There's not enough, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Like, obviously they didn't come together as a collective, but you look, I don't know, like movies from late 90s to early 2000s, like if they needed a British villain or something, they were blatantly British. Like there wasn't, you know what I mean? Or blatantly European or something, right? Correct?
Yeah. But
which is hilarious because in those films, they're like, let's make Street Fighter. Let's get Jean-Claude to be Guile. It's like, bro, what? Or like, let's make Arnold Schwarzenegger a super American guy. It's like, bro, what? And those dudes never mastered an accent other than their own, you know?
And like, it's like, if you look at like Sean Connery, like flipping like the first 10 minutes of any movie with Sean Connery in had to be explaining what he was doing in America.
That's clutch.
Well, like it was always ridiculous, like flipping like The Rock, like that Alcatraz movie, like, you know, they've got to explain what a Scottish person's doing in Alcatraz, like. But I think like, they always had to structure the film around it, but they must have just flipping like really nailed like teaching people accents.
Yeah, because nowadays, if there was a Sean Connery, they'd probably be like, no, bro, you need to get an American accent. We're not rewriting Scottish you into this. Like, so it but like I said, I remember looking at a list one time and I was blown away, like Henry Cavill, all these people. I'm like, damn, I didn't know they were, because they're so, and they got to pick up different, like the states, and you guys too. There's 50 different states, you know what I mean? So there's parts of the same state that don't even sound the same.
Yeah.
Like if you're in Boston, you got to sound, you know what I mean, a certain way. But there's different states and different. So the fact that they're able to pick up even on that is pretty. The thing what Idris Elba did in The Wire is pretty.
That's generally insane. Like flipping, like in that he's not being an American, he's being a guy from Baltimore.
Mm-hmm. From the hood, yeah.
You know, it's like flipping like that's one thing that's so good about The Wire is that it's so regional. It's like it's very specific to Baltimore. Like everyone in there is from Baltimore.
That is, yeah. All of those shows, Breaking Bad, Wire, I watched years later. Like, I just finished Sons of Anarchy maybe a year ago. And that's been off for how many years? I just finished The Wire probably 3 years ago, and that stopped. And like, you know, I don't know why. I just don't think I just at the time was committing to any of these shows. And
I don't know. I Breaking Bad was the only one that I watched while it was still going on. Like, because the thing is, you get these shows that go on for so long, and then it turns out like that the ending sucks. And I don't want to invest that much time in my life into watching something that's like flipping like
gonna crash and burn.
Like 51-hour episodes, and then it turns out it sucks at the end. Like,
how many? Let me ask you this: how many movie stars, celebrities in that capacity have you met? Bumped into randomly? I only met a handful.
Yeah, flipping almost zero, man. They're just completely disconnected from the real world, isn't it?
Like I saw Alec Baldwin in the Pittsburgh airport. I didn't say shit.
Yeah.
I bumped into, again, there's not many.
Yeah.
You're a horror guy, right? Zombie guy?
Yeah, man.
So I bumped Tom Savini's from Pittsburgh.
Yeah. I mean, like flipping, for people who are watching that aren't battle rap fans, you're from Pittsburgh, and like Pittsburgh's like ground zero for zombie movies, isn't it? Because of George Romero.
So George Romero. So Tom Savini did all the makeup, and he's also been in he was in Dusk Till Dawn. He was, I was substitute teaching a class, and it was Bring Your Dad to Work Day.
Yeah.
And a kid brought him in. He was grandfather. He was not. Yeah. But I felt bad for all the other dads because like no one gave a shit about them. They're just like asking Tom Savini all these questions and shit. So I was like,
that's
damn,
the coolest.
Yeah, like shit. So him and shit. I think, dude, that might be kind of. I mean, I met Method Man, but I get he's.
Yeah. You're on his level, man. You're on his level. Listen, Method Man knows who you are.
Other than that, broski, I don't think I don't know that I've met any more. I've always wanted to meet Michael Keaton, but nah, man.
Yeah. He was in like flipping quite an iconic Pittsburgh movie with Gung Ho.
Gung Ho with my man from Cheers, bro.
Yeah.
George Wendt. They said there was a bar in the Burg that George Wendt used to come into and drink all the time and shit. I'd love to like bump into him there.
Yeah. This is it, man. Like flipping, like Tom Savini, like he's like flipping. He's like universally iconic now, and like he's sort of like, I think it is in Pittsburgh. He runs as like a makeup school where he teaches you how to do practical effects.
Yeah.
And every year, like flipping, like it's just basically like loads of like fit goth girls from like that have got rich parents send them there to learn how to be makeup artists. And like every year he just like gets one girlfriend every year from like the new class of like fit goth girls that are being sent to him. Like
like I said, man, Pittsburgh, I don't know if they still do. They used to have like a zombie walk or something.
Yeah.
And people would be walking around like, okay, let me ask you a question as it pertains to zombies. Are you a bigger fan of the slower Walking Dead kind of zombies, or like the Dawn of the Dead, like the ones that could move, could pick up, like the ones did you see that new I don't want to say Chinese if it wasn't Chinese, that We're All Dead,
Korean,
or All of Us Are
Train
Dead.
to Busan.
All of Us Are Dead.
Oh no, I haven't seen that yet.
Bro, it's like on Netflix. It's like a 6-part. Bro, it's a zombie flick. But anyway, slower, dumber zombie, or do you prefer the faster?
I think like the faster zombies are scarier. Like your 28 Days Later zombies, they're like scarier in the moment. But I kind of like prefer the storytelling in slow zombie movies. Because like flipping in your slow zombie movies, your classic, your Night of the Living Dead zombies, it's like it's such an interesting thing. Like, okay, you can deal with one of them, but there's so many of them, it just becomes overpowering. Like, and like I think that's more of an interesting thing. Like, it's only like an in the moment thing to be dealing with. Like, okay, this fast thing's running after me, I'll just run away.
Right. And I guess where they crank it up a notch, would be the I Am Legend zombie kind of thing, right? Where it's like you can't fight one of these really.
Yeah.
You're gonna, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think I'm on the fence too, man. I think I like the idea of slower zombies with a hierarchy where there's like some kind of head zombie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I forget what movie just came out with like Batista or something.
Army of the Dead on Netflix.
Yeah, and I feel like they had kind of like a hierarchy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's kind of fascinating. Like, but like that was kind of like interesting because of the structure. Like, it's that they're going into where the zombies are. Like, but like I think with the slower zombies, like it forces you to do a more interesting kind of storytelling. Ultimately, like. You can deal with these things one at a time, but eventually there's going to be too many, and it forces you into a different kind of story. It's not just running away. Right. You've got to think. And like Night of the Living Dead is like one of the most iconic things in it. Like
and that was filmed right around here. Yeah, like I said, Pittsburgh's always been like zombie kind of central.
Yeah.
For that, when it comes to like filmmaking and whatnot.
Yeah,
I was always of the core monsters. I was always a mummy guy.
A mummy guy. That's quite interesting to me.
Man,
like because the old like mummy films. Like I always felt that the mummy zombie was like the least threatening, but also like something like your Frankensteins and your Draculas. It was just Frankenstein and Dracula was the problem. But with a mummy film, it's because there's like some kind of curse behind it. There's a bit more folklore to it. Yeah.
And I just always thought that the mummy would have had like powers kind of deal, right? Versus and I think the mummy is the last iconic horror person that I don't know if they got their just due yet. Like I know there's the Mummy franchise, but like I want to see the Mummy get an adrenaline shot. Like I want to see a movie where they're just vicious and they're like, you know what I'm saying?
This is it. Like that's something that has never been done like that. Like the Mummy films, they were just like, oh, it's this huge thing. It's this big CGI thing. Right. There's never really been a film.
And they're trying to reverse some potential curse, because if the potential curse in the world's, I want to see this thing already unleashed. You know what I'm saying? And it, because we've seen some Frankenstein twists where they're like,
But I mean, the whole resurrection thing. I mean, you've got your things like your reanimators and that kind of thing, like so there's like been flips of like the Frankenstein thing. But you're right, there's never really been a good flip on the mummies, except for George Romero in Pittsburgh, where he didn't really make a mummy film. But like when they did a Document of the Dead, which is like the one he did with, there was like a found footage Dawn of the Dead. It was one of his later ones. It was like one of the last couple he made before he died. And like that was about a bunch of people that were making a mummy film when the zombie Holocaust happens.
I don't think I've seen it.
Yeah, it's a Diary of the Dead, not Document. Document of the Dead's like a documentary, like. But yeah, you're right. Like the mummies, like as from those classical monster creatures, it's the one that's never really had its dues. I think you're right.
You got to give him that adrenaline, because if you think back to the old Wolfman, people used to fight him off with a cane. Yeah. And then, you had Silver Bullet and stuff in the 80s where he's like ripping limbs off and like,
American Werewolf, The Howling.
Underworld, where now he's like, and the same thing with Dracula. The original Dracula was just like a borderline creep, weirdo that like bit people's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now he's like, one arm in the air choking someone out, I'm just saying, man, the mummy needs his dues, man.
Yeah, man. Flipping, and there's so much you could go into it, like, because like it's weird how much folklore has been affected by creatures from folklore. It's like I only found this out like a couple of years ago, like, the whole thing with werewolves. you can kill them with silver, innit?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I always assumed that was like a legend that went back to the old country and all this kind of thing. But that, like, werewolves being killed with silver came about, like, when they made the first Universal, the Wolfman film, because the guy who was writing it was just well into the Lone Ranger.
Mm.
And like flipping like the silver thing, he's like, oh, it's so cool. Like, you know, where he's got his silver gun. Yeah, I'm going to put some silver into this Wolfman thing. And now it's something we think is like that was the original folklore legend. From
Yeah, like they're like, if they don't mention it, they're leaving it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like,
what do you got in your top 5 horror slash like, you know, that genre? Or
my top 5
just be classified under horror?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I'd struggle with a top 5. I'd say like my top 2, Evil Dead 2 and The Thing.
The original The Thing?
Yeah.
John Carpenter.
Yeah, the 1980s one. I mean, like, technically it's not the original because that was a remake of a 1950s film.
But, oh, no.
Yeah, it's The Thing from Another World. But, yeah, the 1980s The Thing. Flawless in my opinion.
You know what I just watched recently?
The
oldest movie I've ever watched, actually.
Yeah.
You ever see Freaks?
Todd Browning, yeah. That's
with the circus freak.
Yeah, like it's actual circus freaks in it, isn't it?
Yo, that's great. I would not put it in my top 5. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
Talk about making more with less.
Yeah.
Like they didn't have like all kinds of CGI or nothing. Like,
yeah, there's literally no makeup effects in that film. Like,
bro, that is a creepy. I go Exorcist 100%.
Oh yeah.
100%. As a kid, I probably wouldn't put it up there anymore. As a kid, I really liked An American Werewolf in London.
It's still a great film, though.
But Full Circle, CCR.
Yeah.
I see the bad moon rising. Yeah. Man, I'm trying to think of something that hits. You know what I really like?
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors.
That's the one. That's my favorite of the franchise. Like Freddy's my favorite of the big franchise villains, and that is the best one. Like
Dream Warriors, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's also the best sequel. It's like one of the best like sequels to anything of all time. Like,
and I think they're fortunate because 1 was good and intriguing.
Yeah.
2 sucked so bad.
Yeah.
That if 3 doesn't come back that strong.
Yeah.
They might have been dead in the water.
Yeah. But, like, yeah, it's incredible. Flipping, like, there's a mad story about 2, like, because, like 2's, like, the gay one, isn't it? Like, I don't know if you watched it recently, like, but there's a lot of, like, gay subtext in it.
Really?
Yeah. It was this whole thing in it, and like the young lad who was in it, like he was like the main guy in Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Like his like life was ruined by it because he was like just coming up as like an actor in Hollywood, and he was like gay, but you had to like sort of keep it on the D-low, fucking back then because it was like start of the AIDS crisis and all this kind of thing. And he got the gig in Nightmare on Elm Street 2. The guy who was writing it like wrote loads of gay subtext, and like the film is like implicitly about a guy who it's implicitly about like being in the closet is like what it was about.
Did
Freddie
make any?
And there's some like really gay scenes in there, like the fucking.
I'm surprised Freddie didn't make any gay like jokes about it because that's like Freddie's thing, like.
Well, I mean, one of the guys is like the fucking gym teacher's like in the fucking like gay leather club, and then he's in the showers getting whipped on the arse to death. Like Like that bit is literally like softcore gay porn and all this. Like
That's hilarious, bro.
yeah, but that whole film was like flipping it was like so fucking like if you watch it again through that lens, you realize like because a lot of people it's regarded as like a queer classic now, and they have like watch along things of it like they do with Rocky Horror Picture Show in the sort of gay community, because like obviously there wasn't really films being made like that for the gay community, so for a lot of like queer kids growing up, that was like their first taste of it. But obviously like fucking it wasn't fucking hitting at the time.
And then what, Johnny Depp's in the first one.
Yeah. But it's like the lad who was in the second one, Mark Patton, flipping it complete. He was like supposed to be like the next fucking like Johnny Depp. But when people were saying like fucking we don't like this film, it's fucking really gay, they fucking blamed it all on this one lad. Like he was like a closeted gay, and they said like fucking basically like fucking he's so gay he's just turned the whole film gay by being in it. So
did Robert Englund ever speak on that?
Yeah, he's spoken it a while. There's a documentary about it called Scream Queen, My Nightmare on Elm Street. Because like basically like this kid was like gonna like blow up. He was gonna be the next Johnny Depp. But because like they blamed him for like how gay the film was, when really it was like the fucking like it was the script and all that. They blamed him for it, and like no one would hire him because they're like, don't put him in the film or he'll turn the whole film gay. And like fucking like he like fucking like had to like move to Mexico like and all this kind of thing.
What did Robert Englund say?
He's kind of like he speaks a lot about it in this documentary. He's like flipping like he felt it was like, you know, kind of like wrong that he was blamed on him, but but like he couldn't really call it out at the time. It's not like he had the social media to call it out on. And like, you know, just as this was kind of happening, they'd gone into Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and like fucking like, so like that was blowing up and all this kind of thing. But but the lad, Mark Patton, he got like fucking like really thrown under the bus.
Fuck.
Yeah. But like,
and then that 2010 remake was terrible.
Oh my God, it's fucking dog shit, man. I've got so much time for stuff. But I did think that flipping Jackie Earle Haley did play a hell of a flipping Freddy. Like
I wasn't mad at him, and I don't know, it just wasn't good. I think Freddy vs. Jason is great for all the wrong reasons, but like,
oh yeah, that's just fun, and that's what it's supposed to be. It's like that, like that. That's coming around full circle, like it's like Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, in it, like
right.
It's like we've done the scary movie, so like you love these characters, we're just gonna have some fun with it, and that's what Freddy versus Jason is, and I think it's fucking great.
Oh, it was incredible.
Yeah,
incredible. I mean, I wouldn't put it like say it's an iconic film masterpiece, but it's
flip like Kelly Rowland in that. Like, sorry, I'm pulling up like all these flipping references. But there's that bit in the end when like flipping Kelly Rowland's calling Freddy like homophobic slurs.
Yeah.
And like the people who like made the film were like interviewed about it later. And they were like, why did you put that in the film? And they go, it wasn't in the script. Like she just kept saying it on set. And we kept telling her, just say the line in the script, and we do it again, and she just say the F slur again. Like Kelly Rowland just wouldn't like it wasn't her that went on to do the gospel stuff, is it? Like, but yeah, she just kept insisting on using like she just kept repeating homophobic slurs to the point they just gave up and just said, yeah, we'll put it in the film.
Funniest, I'm gonna tell you the best film fact.
Yeah.
Since we're on behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
You're familiar with the Teen Wolf film fact, right?
Yes, I am. Let's have it, man. This is a great way to round it out.
The GOAT. So Teen Wolf is my brother's favorite movie of all time. He watches it every time on his birthday. Personally, I don't think it's a good movie. If it's on, the nostalgia in me will leave it on for maybe 15, 20 minutes. But anyway.
Yeah.
So at the end, you're familiar with this. They got extras. They're playing the iconic basketball game, you know, and the song's going, everyone's cheering, and the one team wins the game. And as they're cheering, people standing up, and the one guy just stands up and pulls his dick out. All right. And he's in like the back of the bleachers towards the left. But I mean, and so as he does this, it's like this super like heartwarming, iconic song, like, you know, you can do it in the end, and this dude just pulls his dick out.
There's just a guy in the background with his dick out.
Nobody sees it. He's cheering with his dick out. Nobody catches it in post-production.
Yeah.
They fucking put the movie out. It's out there for years like that.
And this is it. Like, now it's more HD, like, because like there's been this issue with like obviously like, because if something's made on film, it can always be upscaled to the latest thing. Like if something's digital, it's only ever going to be the quality it's filmed in. But like we've been having this, there's been this thing recently where like they filmed something and like it was dark enough that you couldn't see some guy's dick. Like the Terminator, like there's bits when Arnie's walking around. And like now the film quality's got so good, like you can just blatantly see his dick and balls.
But that guy, so I get Arnie walking around naked. He just landed from another. That dude, like to make that executive decision, like fuck this $100 they're giving me. Here's my dick.
I am getting my dick out.
And you had to think there because there's a crowd around him. So there's people cheering in front of him. How did nobody just like, bro, is that your dick out? My guy just lives on as a legend, bro. Like, and then the credits scroll down and his dick like gets farther and farther back. I'm like, bro, like,
iconic, man, iconic.
Go.
Yo, that's a funny as fuck. No, I think we'll call it a pod there, man. That was fucking fantastic. Fucking yes, the legend himself, real deal Trevor Weller. Do you want to like give the people your socials if they want to follow you, which they probably are doing
man,
already.
Check me out on everything, man. Real Deal Rats. That's the IG and the TikTok. Real Deal, you know what I mean? Shit, my son is voices with Trevor. He's gonna, he's working to be an impressionist voice actor. So we're around, man.
Absolutely killing it. Okay, safe. I'm going to cut it off there. I'm Kinell. This has been Sinister Cinema. Safe.